Hello, listeners. Thank you for joining me on 21st Century Native Leaders. I hope you enjoy this podcast episode with my guest today. Follow me on Facebook, 21st Century Native Leaders, or Navajo Podcaster. I'm also on Instagram as a Navajo Podcaster, and on Twitter, Navajo Podcaster. Thank you. I hope you enjoy. Hello, listeners. Thank you for joining me on 21st Century Native Leaders. My name is Peter Deswood III, and I'm here with Loren Aragon from ACONAV. So Loren is an entrepreneur who operates a clothing business. He's a designer, entrepreneur. Thanks for being on the show, Loren.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Right on. So talk with me about your tribal affiliation, where you grew up, just some background.
So I am from the Acoma Pueblo of New Mexico, and I basically grew up there for the first 18 years of my life, and came down to Tempe to attend Arizona State University and finished up my degree there in mechanical engineering. Always had art in my background. I grew up with a lot of art from my mother being my teacher, my grandmothers who did a lot of pottery, which is what Acoma was mostly known for, and also had my grandfather who really pressed me to get into a more serious career, a more promising career. So worked with him a lot in automotive repair. And I think that's where the mechanical side of me comes from, the science, interest, and got through ASU with that and worked in the Valley, Phoenix area for about 13 plus years in engineering. Again, always had art in my background, and I was doing that on the side with illustration. And my wife and I actually started a business called ACONAV as a greeting card company back in about 2008, and it was around that time that I started to dwell more and more into the arts after just being inspired by so many things happening. We attended the Santa Fe Indian Market for the first time in '09, and I think that's really what kicked off my interest in wanting to be a part of that. And wanting to be a part of that in a unique way. Pottery was always something that I admired, but it was always something that was just so much time that had to be consumed into it. And it was really demanding, and at the time I was still working as an engineer, so I really couldn't break away from that. But I also wanted to pursue something different, and I saw how artists were advancing their own traditional arts with technology, and I wanted to do something with that, so incorporate kind of my engineering background, my technical expertise into art, and I started looking at doing sculpture and jewelry, and also improved on my illustration. And it was really the jewelry that got me noticed in the art markets and the native art markets. So we did the Santa Fe Indian Market for the first time, heard pretty much all the shows that happened around the Southwest, and lucky for me, I had an uncle who knew how to do jewelry, so he taught me how to do that. But I always wanted to do more, and I always wanted to expand. It's just my personality. I think I just need something new all the time. So my mom and my aunt, they did a lot of sewing. They were seamstresses for most of their lives. So I always saw that happening in the household, but never thought I could, I never thought I'd take an interest in it. I always felt it was the girly thing to do. But I saw the need for, I guess fabrics that had their own place as far as being recognizable as from a specific tribe. There was always fabrics that my mother and my aunt used that were just kind of a hodgepodge of different designs that really had no identity, so they could be whatever they wanted. They were always called native inspired, or Southwestern print, and I really wanted to create something that would be recognizable, so someone can see it and say, "Hey, that looks Acoma," or "That looks Pueblo," at least, and give it an identity to it. So I started, with the help of a fellowship, I actually created my first textiles and created my first garments, which were traditional garments, and a couple contemporary pieces. And when people noticed that after I showed them for the first time at the Indian Market, that was really when everything kind of took off. I really loved that inspiration, that feedback that I received, and I wanted to do more. So I started to find that fashion was basically the hub of everything that I love to do. So it's just, I love doing it, and it's been carrying me forward with new ideas, new projects, and just 2 years ago, actually 3 years ago, 2016, I walked away from engineering and turned on to the fashion industry, and the ACONAV brand has been a full-time thing since then.
Wow. So how long ago did you create the business?
Like I said, about 2009, we actually started the greeting card part of it, and I did a lot of illustration, and we used a lot of my prints for the card designs, and my wife was into scrapbooking at the time, so we combined both our skills and designed some unique pieces. But it wasn't until March of 2016 that I actually established ACONAV LLC here in the Arizona area, or the state of Arizona. So it's been a company since then, and it was in June of 2016 that I cashed in my chips, so to speak, and walked away from engineering and to do this full time. At that same time, I was actually part of the Phoenix Fashion Week Designer Bootcamp program, and I really had to devote a lot of my time to that. It's basically a 4-year business fashion program that is condensed into 4 months, and I just couldn't handle that on top of doing my engineering duties. And with the mentorship that I was receiving from my supervisor at the time, I just had to take that opportunity.
Wow, that's powerful. So you cashed in your chips, probably took out your retirement and went all in with the business, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. We had some savings that we had on the side, and it was meant for other things. And we kind of always had this idea, this dream to have a business of our own, and we thought it was just going to be art in general or jewelry, but fashion was just something. The fashion side of things that we were doing, that I was doing, were some things that people had never seen before, and that was just really what I wanted to present more of.
Wow, that's powerful. So talk with me a little bit about some of the challenges you face starting the LLC, or some advice to people in Arizona about what to expect when going through and establishing an LLC.
The process for establishing an LLC isn't really all that difficult. At the time that I established it, I believe it was like a $30 or a $50 fee to basically get the LLC started, which is an online process with the state of Arizona, and basically that allows them to also publish it and make it public in a circulating publication, magazine, newspaper, that sort of thing. So that's basically all taken care of for you, and it's a really simple process. I thought it would be a huge ordeal, but it wasn't. Really, I think the more challenging side to things is just getting all the financial stuff in order. So making sure you got your tax privilege license for the state of Arizona, being licensed to do business in the state of Arizona. Those are more things that you have to kind of keep on top of every month, and make sure you keep those updated and submit your claims to the things that you do. Really just being honest in doing your business in the state of Arizona. And I think for me, the most challenging part is just continuing to create new things, and just continuing to advertise or promote the things that we're doing, so that people always know that we're here and around. And it's a lot of tedious work, doing a lot of the Facebook posts, doing the social media thing, going through the program with the Phoenix Fashion Week Designer Bootcamp. That's a lot of the things that I do now are the things that I apply and do day in, day out, and that's what carries the business forward. And from speaking with people and knowing people in the fashion industry and even outside of that, it's you find those people who are actually willing to do those things, and when you do them, they actually make a difference. They actually let your business grow, or allow your business to grow.
Oh, that's amazing. So I know you're in the clothing, you have a clothing line, but have you ever thought about using hemp as the fabric?
Yeah, I use silks, leather, and a bunch of other luxury materials a lot, but recently with sustainability and becoming more eco-friendly, those ideas are still there, and wanting to turn things around and wanting to do something good. Those are definitely options for fabrics that I've been looking at. So hemp, there's a lot of different things. It's just not just hemp. It's actually there's pineapple, believe it or not. Just different other alternative fibers that are you just wouldn't think would be luxurious enough to be usable in fashion, but they're actually making making headway in being able to produce that more. So I think in the near future, you're going to start seeing a change in the things that we use, and presenting a lot more sustainable, eco-friendly type materials or practices.
Talk with me about some of the challenges you guys overcame to, be running up and running with your business.
I think for me, the first challenge was basically telling my wife and my family that I was going to drop engineering to do this full time. That was the biggest step for me. But challenging, I think it's just every day is a challenge with, again, just doing the day-to-day duties to keep the business growing. There's always something. I think networking has been the biggest challenge. Finding people that will really help you, assist you in the growth of your business. Again, is finding those people and actually making an effort to introduce yourself and tell them about who you are, where you come from, what your business is about. As an engineer, I had really minimal interaction with people outside of just sitting at a desk and doing a lot of grunt work, so to speak. I had to break away from that shell, so it was a challenge to actually change how I would do things, or change my personality, or change, not be afraid to break out of my shell and converse with people, start to communicate, and your business better than anyone else does. And if you don't put that effort forth to tell people about who you are, where you come from, what you do, then you're non-existent. And then people don't realize that. I mean, yeah, we see the people that kind of get lucky that someone takes them on, or they really love something that they do and they showcase it. They put it in the red carpet, they get in the news or something, a movie. But those are 1 in a million chances. And really, if you don't, they probably put forth some sort of effort to do that, to get that, to reach out to somebody who had those connections. So we have to do that same thing ourselves. So it's just a lot of networking, and that's probably the biggest challenge, is really building a network of people that will assist you, help you. And it does come from the patronage, the people that do buy from you and all that, and it's very appreciative. But again, there's people that know other people that are in your realm that can help you grow and help you, elevate to the next level.
Well, that's definitely some important component of it, networking. Aside from networking, what's another skill you rely on heavily as an entrepreneur?
I think just being creative, really presenting things in a creative way that'll get the attention of people. It's presenting a new product or a service that you provide. Really got to capture the interest of people. And I think one of the things that comes is not really a skill, but kind of I guess a perk to doing what we do is basically we tell our story based on a cultural connection to what we do, to what I do. So everything that I produce is most definitely founded on the idea of the matrilineal system that the Acoma Pueblo people believe in, and a lot of other Native American tribes believe in. But not only that, but the cultural connection to pottery and wanting to present that in a new way. People just have not seen that, and that really helps me to continue to press on that and to be able to have a story behind something. It makes us unique, and it makes us, capture the attention of people who haven't seen this, or even the people that do see this every day, that have a connection to collecting pottery or work in the museum industry. They see these things day in, day out. They basically have not seen a presentation of it in this style. So I think for a business to strive, you really just have to be unique. And if you have some unique little perk like that, you really have to present it and just keep reiterating it to people that, hey, this is what makes us different. This is what makes my stuff better than the next guy's. I mean, someone else could be doing the same thing, but we, there's meaning behind what we do. So it's definitely what drives us.
Well, that's definitely an important component of it. Knowing your niche and stuff like that. So, what does ACONAV mean?
So ACONAV is a combination of names, or cultural names. I'm Acoma, my wife is Navajo. And when we started out the greeting card company, we just combined the first half of the names. So ACONAV became that, and our logo is even representative of that. We have a Pueblo ladder surrounded by the Navajo basket. So the ladder, of course, representing the Kiva kind of idea of the Pueblos, or the Pueblo lifestyle, and the basket, which is always kind of a recognizable design in Navajo country. But we started out as a greeting card company and just wanted a unique name, so that's what we came up with, and it's stuck around as the brand name for what the fashion brand is now. And in ACONAV, we discovered similarities in our culture to the Matrilineal System, and basically ACONAV is now a celebration of the strength and empowerment of women all over throughout the world. And basically all the garments that are produced basically are a representation of that, some sort of idea that instills some sort of empowerment, some sort of discovery to the strengths that women have that have been overlooked because of patriarchal ideas. So those ideas we try to instill in our garments, and hopefully are embraced by the people that wear what I make. And basically we want them to unite in that sort of way and be mindful and be able to discover that they can break beyond their own limitations and be an inspiration, to be empowering, to be an outstanding person in whatever you do.
And that is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's just that culture that you talk about, the matrilineal, and how they're this very similar between the two tribes, and then how you take that and make it a part of your business. And I'm assuming it's in your business plan and all that. Am I correct?
Yes.
Wow, that's powerful. So, how competitive is the clothing line industry?
It's very competitive. I mean, I approach this as us needing, well, when I say us, I speak of native designers in general. I approached the business as something that we needed to present outside of just the native community. And when I did that, I discovered a whole mess of competition in the fashion industry. I mean, it's really competitive, and a lot of people work day in, day out to try to get ahead of other people. And before, it was really looking at, who's first to get their garments in a shop or store or in Neiman Marcus or some store like that. It still is that way. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to sell their stuff. I mean, that's one way you get noticed, is one way you become an established brand is when your designs are out there getting bought by consumers. But there's competition that way, and just competition of getting noticed. Who can you dress, who can wear your stuff and be able to showcase that thing. Again, the networking has kind of taught me that we all have to just kind of work together to get where we want to be. And unfortunately, I think I see a lot of negative competition among native designers, as far as, fighting to just be better than the next person. Or no one is better than anyone. It's just about how you work your business and, again, do the things that matter to help your business grow. On the side of just being able to make a sale, to continue your business to grow and to be able to sustain itself, that's where the competition really is.
Wow, that's very interesting, and I like the way you stated that. So, what does the future look like for ACONAV?
Future is looking good thus far. We're continuing to grow. We like to see the growth happen. As far as growth, I mean, we've brought on new people, new partners that have helped us, again, to grow and just kind of reach a new audience. We've reached out to more people. One of the things that really kind of marked a good year for us last year was being able to do a piece for Walt Disney World. That was commissioned by the Walt Disney Company to create a dress for their exhibit at the Epcot Center, which is called Creating Traditions, Innovation and Change in American Indian Art. And I was approached by Imagineers from Walt Disney at Santa Fe Indian Market to be a part of this, because I was really in the crosshairs of what they were already looking for, as far as digging into our cultural side of things and then presenting that as in a more modern style and a more modern art form. And so basically what I was doing was right along those lines, and they wanted me basically to be inspired by an Acoma pottery of my choosing, and then create a dress that would be fitting for the whole idea behind Disney. So I was able to create a ball gown, or a princess gown, basically, that represented the Acoma culture. And this exhibit is there for the next 5 years at Epcot Center, and it's brought a lot of attention, again, to Native American art and culture and the people, and along with the help of the Smithsonian and the Museum of Indian Arts and Culture, they were able to bring a lot of those hidden treasures out and place them in a nice display there. So it's things like that we continue to strive for, and those are a lot of other things like that in the future for ACONAV. And again, we want to keep showing the creativity. I feel no limitations on the ideas that I can present, and there's definitely room for growth with still in the women's couture design, where we ventured into ready-to-wear designs, which are more fitting for a larger range of body types, and also for different income levels, and also looking at doing more menswear. So hopefully that flow is able to flow into the process this year. Not only that, but just expanding upon accessories and things that people want to see. I've kind of mentally jotted down a whole list of things and ideas that people keep asking about, and I want to present that. I want to showcase that when we're ready. So a little bit at a time. When we keep growing, we're not growing by leaps and bounds. We're still, a duck on water. Things are calm on top. The feet are pedaling on the bottom. So we try to keep our cool that way, and just try to press on to present something different and new every year.
That's awesome. I think that's one thing that's important is if you're not moving forward, what do they say? You're moving backwards. So that's awesome. So is there anything else you would like to add?
On the side of things, I think you were looking for ideas about how we can continue to be successful. And one of the things that I always say to people are, you got to be persistent in what you do. You can't give up at the first sign of failure. People think that, we were an overnight success, or that things just happened. Everything was in line for this to happen. It really didn't. There's a lot of struggle, and I personally don't like to talk about it, but it happens, and there's a lot of things that happen to get where you want to be, and failure is just a big part of that. But to be turned off by failure and to say you're not going to do it or not pursue it anymore, that's just, you not being willing to push yourself more, to challenge yourself. So you really have to be persistent, and if you fail, pick yourself up and move on. There's just going to be a different way you're going to have to fail. You just have to figure out how to get around those challenges, and there are ways to get around it. You just, again, it's all about what not being afraid of facing those challenges, and by that, really knowing what you're getting into. Research it, get to know what you might encounter. That way, you're ready to take on those challenges more readily. It's just you're going to fail. It's just inevitable, and you have to accept it. And again, if you don't, then you're not going to go anywhere.
That is so true. I think that's one thing that's important to mention. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it definitely takes a lot of work and a lot of ingenuity and a lot of forethought and planning. And I think that's one of the things that I try to highlight with these podcasts is that people aren't successful overnight. It's taken you 2009, 10 years, right? I know there's some artists, musicians that I've interviewed, and they said, "Man, I've been doing this since I was 19, and I'm 39, so 20 years." And I think that's the power of hearing people's stories that it hasn't been easy, and people need to hear that. People, up and coming entrepreneurs, need to hear that it's going to take some time. You got to stick to it, and a lot of persistence, like you said. So, do you want to do a plug for your business?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. We're mostly online, so you can find us at ACONAV.com. That's ACONAV.com. We're all over social media. Facebook at ACONAV, Instagram at ACONAV, Twitter at ACONAV_fashion. Links are available everywhere, so please check us out, see what we've got.
That's awesome, man. Hey, I appreciate you taking time. I know it took us a little bit while to connect, and I did put it on my Facebook, 21st Century Native Facebook site, asking who I should interview, and quite a few people said Loren Aragon, so that's why I reached out to you to connect with you. And so people were wanting to hear your story and hear what's going on with your journey, and that's pretty powerful. And that's the other thing too, is like our people, Native people, need to hear of people that are out there working hard, succeeding, and that's one of the things also that I like to do with these podcasts is show that we are break those negative stereotypes about Indian people. So that's powerful. And you're definitely when we go to the different shows or the markets, my wife and I try to check out your booth and try to buy stuff from you all. So that's powerful. And we'll definitely, if I see you again, I'll come up to you and introduce myself and chat with you for a bit.
Yeah, we much appreciate it. We always welcome a good talk. And again, yeah, you're right about natives just being kind of afraid of one another. I don't know if it's the native stare or what, but it's and I think people are taken aback by me. They see different sides of me and maybe think I'm, I don't know, intimidating, but we're definitely friendly people. We'll definitely chat with you. And again, we're no stranger to giving some help to our fellow artists, designers, whoever. And if there's something that interests you that we're doing and want to know more about it, we're definitely open to speak up about it and hopefully help you with what you've got going on.
Right on. That's awesome. If you could send me a background, a picture for the background, that'd be great. Maybe in the next day or two.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Will do.
All right, Loren. Hey, take care, brother. We'll talk to you later. Keep up the fight, man.
Will do, man. Thanks, Peter.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Hello, listeners. I hope you enjoyed this podcast episode with my guest today. Follow me on Instagram, Navajo Podcaster, also on Facebook, 21st Century Native Leader, or Navajo Podcaster. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day. Agona.